Hey, it's Matt. I've got a quick question for you. Do you have a preaching calendar? Well, if you don't, I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to absolutely want to have one as I walk through 3 reasons why every single preacher needs a sermon calendar. You know, back when I was in high school, our pastor one Sunday got up and he told us that he had a plan for what he was going to preach that morning, and then the Holy Spirit that the night before told him to preach something different. Now, you know, I'm a high school kid. I'm just learning what it looks like to follow Jesus, and so I was incredibly impressed at the spiritual sensitivity of my pastor. When he did it 2, 3, 4, 6 more times over the span of a few months, I started to wonder if he was telling the truth or not, or if he was just winging it. You see, the truth of the matter is that most preachers don't have a plan for what they're going to preach next. They go sermon to sermon, series to series, with no consistent way of knowing what they're going to preach. Now, I think we all get this. All of us are busy. All of us are overwhelmed. All of us know the feeling when we're preparing a sermon of wondering, what am I supposed to say? And so one of the things that I started using about 6 or 7 years ago, and something that I've helped hundreds of private clients build out, is an annual preaching calendar, an annual sermon calendar, which is just a very simple way of organizing for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, the biblical text and the topics that you're going to preach on. So one of the things that happens when I start talking about preaching calendars is that people go, okay, well, that's fine, but what good is that? Like, what good is a preaching calendar? And it's a great question because none of us have time to waste on tools that we're not going to actually use. So here's what I want to do in this video. I want to walk you through 3 reasons why I believe that if you're a preacher, you absolutely must have an annual sermon calendar. All right? So here's the first reason. The first reason that you need an absolutely simple, sustainable, yet effective preaching calendar is that, well, the truth of the matter is that you're just guessing at what to preach. And again, this is what I see time and time again as I've been able to work with hundreds of preachers as trying to help them preach their best sermon, that when we start the conversation and I start asking about what their plan looks like to preach, they don't have one. They're just guessing sermon to sermon, series to series. They may scribble and scratch some things out, but there's not a consistent way for them to have what they're going to communicate planned out. And so one of the things that does is it just leaves them guessing, and it honestly puts a lot of stress on everybody. It puts a lot of stress on you as a preacher, and it puts a lot of stress on your people. It puts a lot of stress on your other leaders. When you change things last minute, you're moving things around. People have no sense of where you're going. There's no direction. And so that's the first reason why I really believe that you need a preaching calendar, is because it really does give you an opportunity to quit guessing at what you're going to preach, and it gives you an opportunity to not be overwhelmed by everything that's going on. It brings everything together and gives everyone in your church, including you, clear direction on where you want to go. That's the first reason. The second reason why you absolutely must have a preaching calendar is because you're preaching too long. And here's what we've found in our own research, and really every single piece of research that we're seeing, is that preachers on average are going about 5 to 10 minutes too long. And here's one reason I think that happens. We know that we have this group of people in the room that we want to be helpful to. We want to open up the scriptures. We want to communicate the good news of Jesus through that particular part of the Bible. And there's a lot to say. But one of the reasons why I think we end up saying too much is because we don't know where we're going in the future. And so we lack the confidence to believe that we can say just a little bit today, knowing that in a couple of weeks or a couple of months that we're going to actually come back to this topic and be able to say more later. And so one of the things that I see for myself, and I see in a lot of our clients, is that when we have a calendar and we have a plan for where we're going to be preaching for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, is that it actually shortens our sermons. And I think, honestly, it makes our sermons better. It makes them tighter. It makes them not wander around so much. There's focus, there's direction, there's clarity that your people absolutely need to get from you as you open up the scriptures and preach the good news of the gospel to them. Now, here's what I'd love for you to do in the video below. Go down to the comments, and I just love to hear, because I love to learn. I love to get this kind of feedback, a little bit of research from me, so this is a way that you can help me and I can help you in the future, is that if you'll just let me know, just take a guess, how long do you preach on average? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 45 minutes? Is it an hour? Just kind of put that down in the comments below, and I may ask you some follow-up questions down there, because I'm always curious in seeing how people come to the conclusion of how long they should preach. So just do that in the comments below. So we've talked about 2 reasons so far why you need a preaching calendar. Number 1, it helps you to quit guessing, sermon to sermon and series to series. Secondly, it's going to shorten your sermons and probably make them better. And then the third reason why I believe that you absolutely need a preaching calendar is because it clarifies discipleship for your entire church. For a lot of churches, the women's ministry does a thing, and men's ministry does a thing, and then the kids' ministry does something else, student ministries does something else, and so everybody's doing their whole thing. But there's at least the potential that if you have a preaching calendar, that everybody can get on the same page, that everybody can operate off of that. Your group's ministry can basically build their content off of what you're preaching in your sermons. And I see churches that do this all the way through every single ministry area, from men to women to kids to students, all the way across. And so there's potential to not have the discipleship in your church be scattered to the 4 winds, but to actually come back and there's clarity and there's focus and there's collective momentum that's leveraged off of what you're doing in the sermon. But it starts with you having a plan and a calendar so everybody can build what they need to build, the content that needs to be there, the clarity about how are we going to take this thing that we're communicating to adults and how are we going to help our children understand that. So there's a lot of places that you can go with this and a lot of potential that's going to help you do the job that we're ultimately called to do in our church, and that's to disciple people and to help them follow Jesus. So let's go over those reasons again. The 3 reasons I believe that you absolutely must need an annual preaching calendar, a sermon calendar, is number 1, it's going to help you to stop guessing about what you should preach next. Number 2, it's going to shorten your sermons, probably make them better. And number 3, it's going to really unite your efforts in discipling your people. Now, one of the things that I've created, if you're interested, is that we have an entire training session that's absolutely free, that's longer than this. It's going to walk you through exactly what you need to do in order to build an annual preaching calendar. We've got a template in there for you. We'll walk you through step by step by step. And all you have to do is click on the link below in the video description, and we'll get that to you and we'll really set you up for success in the future. Now, one of the things that I would love for you to do, because over the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing brand new videos that are going to be talking more about a preaching calendar. So I think it's a smart play if you'll go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and then every Wednesday when we release a brand new video, it's going to be right there waiting for you. And so if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back next week and we're going to be talking about not just the reasons why we need one, but we're going to talk a little bit more and start to think about what are some of the tools that are available to help us build a preaching calendar. And if this was helpful for you, I'd really think it would be a great idea for you to share that with some other pastor, another preacher who might benefit from this, and give them the opportunity to think through whether or not they need a preaching calendar as well. And if this has been helpful to you at all, I'd love for you to just leave a comment below. Tell me how it was helpful, or just say, hey, this was helpful, thank you. And that would mean a lot to me. I think it would help other people who are watching this, and it would give us an opportunity to continue on this journey together. This entire endeavor called Pastors and Preachers exists to help you enjoy living faithfully and leading fruitfully. That's what it looks like for us to be successful in the work that God's given us, in the life that He's called us to. So I really appreciate your time today, and wherever you are, hope you have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you soon.